morning.
Good morning.
It's great to see each and every one of you this morning. And we are in the process this month of talking about being a possibilitarian. A possibilitarian. I told you, you've heard of vegetarians, you've heard of pescatarians, you've heard of libertarians, you've heard of all other types of tarians. But today and this month we've been talking about being possibilitarians. And it's important that we understand that in our teaching, it's really what it's all about, because we talk about the fact that all is already done in the mind of God. It already exists. It already is. It already is available. And the thing that is important for us is to understand that it's available to us. The master teacher, Jesus, reminded us that it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. The good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Meaning there is no God that is holding anything back from us, no God that is keeping anything away from us. God is continually expressing life, and life is continually pouring itself for us, and it's available to each and every one of us. And that's what it means to be a possibilitarian, to be able to stand in a place, and no matter what it looks like, no matter what it appears like, no matter what's happening around us, no matter what other people are saying, no matter what is going on, understand that there are possibilities, infinite possibilities, that are available to us. Let the church say amen. But to understand this is important. And this morning I'd like to talk about the three pillars, as I identified them, of possibilitarianism. Three pillars of possibilitarianism. The first thing, I think that whenever we are looking at welcoming something into our lives, making something possible in that way, I don't mean that we make it happen, we welcome it, we allow it to happen. We understand that it's there. If you think about it, the fact that the Wright brothers, they somehow had to believe that flight was possible. If you think about, we talked about last week, how there often can be the negative aspect, the negativity that sometimes people throw our ways, that could be the catalyst, the spark for us to prove them wrong. To begin the process of making something that other people said was impossible, possible, having it manifest and express in our lives. And there are many, many instances and circumstances that all of us can point to in our own lives as well as in the lives of others, when people told them they can't, when people told them it was impossible, when people told them that they couldn't do, they turned around and proved that it could be done. So we understand that. We understand that it's all open and available to us. It's there. We make it welcome. That is, we are able to see it, and we're able to experience it in such a way that it becomes real, it becomes manifest. But the three pillars, and first off, I think that the first pillar of possibilitarianism is purpose. Purpose. We ought to know why it is that we wish to have something in our lives. We ought to know why. Now sometimes that purpose can be high and noble, if you will, that we some way want to make, the world a better place for all people. We wish to have, peace and harmony and joy for all concerned, those kinds of things. That may be, part of it, and that's a high and noble thing. And sometimes it's just, I just want to be able to get along with the people that I work with. I just want to be able to have a healthy body. I just want to be able to be in a harmonious environment. I just want to be able to be in a place and in a space where I feel safe. I just want to be a person who is making things happen, who is in the midst of things that are happening, that are exciting, that are innovative, that are invigorating, all of those things. Whatever it is, we ought to have a purpose to know why it is that we're looking for something to happen, that we become clear about that. If you think about in our way of praying in this teaching, one of the things we always do, before we ever move into the process of treating for or praying for something, we start out with a purpose. And it's important to understand that as you move to your purpose again, sometimes the catalyst for that purpose is something that ultimately you didn't like or you didn't want that expressed. I mean, you know, you think about it. I remember telling a woman this one time who was talking with me about her relationship and how she had lost all of these years with this one particular person and all of that. And my response to her was, there are no wasted relationships. She, you know, she didn't like that at first. But then when I started to ask her, you know, what is it that you learned from this relationship? And she started going down the negatives. I said, hold up. What kinds of things now do you know are something that you want? Something that are desirable for you and that person that you shared life with? What kinds of things, if you think about the fact, you talked about a person who was inattentive, so that helps you to understand you want someone who's attentive. You talked about the fact how there never was any time for you, so now you understand that you want someone who makes time not only for their career and their family and other things, but also time for you. And she went on and started saying, well, I get you now. I think I begin to understand what you're talking about. That sometimes those experiences and those things that we go through, they help us develop a purpose, to begin understanding what it is that we really do wish to have expressed in our lives. It may be that you are in a work situation and you don't want to be micromanaged, so you understand that you want to be in a place where you have freedom. It may be that you're in a place where you say, it's too free and I'm a person that works better with deadlines and structures. So now you have a clear understanding of what it is that you are really there for, what it is that you're looking for, or in other words, you begin to understand your purpose. Understanding your purpose. That's the first thing, that's the first pillar of possibilitarianism. Having a purpose, declaring a purpose. And the second thing is to have an intent. An intent. Now, and you might say, well, an intent and the purpose are the same, but there's some distinctions there because an intent is something that's really simple. An intent is something that we begin articulating, and we can articulate the intent in this way. I choose to. I choose to. And then whatever it is that you determine in your purpose, whatever it is that you have started formulating in your purpose, when you say, I choose to, that's when you start to express that which you wish to have embodied in your life. I choose to be in a harmonious relationship. I choose to be in a productive work environment. I choose to have a wonderful academic career. I choose to, and then very simply, but very succinctly, begin filling in the blank, filling in the whatever it is. I choose to. I choose to. And again, we're not talking about thinking that somehow someone's holding it back from us. Because again, when we start talking about infinite possibilities, it means that we let our imagination flow, that we begin seeing things that never were there before, things we might not have ever experienced before. All of those things, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. One of the really points of our teaching, again, that's always important is that principle is not bound by precedent. Meaning that whatever happened in the past doesn't have to determine what happens now. That there's always new opportunities, there's always a new day, there's always a new chance, there's always new. So we move into that space where we begin saying, I choose to. And it might be that you were choosing something that other people would look at you and say, that's crazy. That's a crazy idea. You've never done that before. You know? So sometimes it's important that as we begin that process of declaring our intent, that we don't always tell everybody. Because there's some people in our lives, and you all know this, that will be the first ones to tell us, what, huh? Who? Where they do that at? Because they don't understand possibilitarianism. They don't understand that you understand that you live in a universe that is full of infinite possibilities. They don't get it. And again, don't let someone who has lost their dreams make you lose yours.
Teach.
So we have to be selective. We have to be careful. You hear me talk about all the time having a partner in believing. Someone who can hold the space for you, who is there with you, who can believe it when you believe it, and sometimes when you kind of falter in your believing, who can remind you and keep you on the path. And you all help one another. You all are there for one another. You all talk it through with one another. You all share it with one another. You all are there. You have that, and you're able to do that. You're able to say that, but you have your intent. I choose to. I choose to. Which brings us to the third pillar, and that is vision. Vision. Now, I'm not talking about vision in terms of being able to see. I need to clean these a little bit. But I'm talking about vision in the fact, and y'all we've talked about this, about seeing it real. But more importantly, feeling it real. Feeling it real. What does it feel like, and what does it look like to be in that place and to be experiencing whatever it is that you have stated and you have made your intent? What does it feel like? What does a harmonious relationship feel like? What does it sound like? After all, something is harmonious, then it's going to be words that are going to be shared, things that are going to be said, feeling that's going to be, good feeling. It's going to be one that makes you glad that you're alive. It's going to be one that's going to make you say, oh, yeah, I'm ready to get up today and see what the new day offers for me because I'm in this space. I'm in this place of harmony. My academic career, I chose to have a fulfilling academic career. And I know that when I sit down and take that exam, that it's all right. That all that I need to know comes to me already. But begin to do that. And then more importantly, because if we go back to the teaching of Neville Goddard that we have been talking about earlier, then when we talk about feeling it real, then we begin to see in our mind's eye and hear in our mind's ear those conversations about it already happening, it happening now. So what would it sound like? What would it sound like? There wouldn't be negative conversations. There wouldn't be, naysayers or anything. It would be positive. And we can imagine again, if it's with our partner in believing or someone else, we begin to see that and taking some time to do it, to see that and to hear it, and more importantly, to feel it real, feel it happening now. And we see it through our eyes, and we hear someone congratulating us, shaking our hand, giving us a fist bump, giving us a high five, giving us a hug, saying, congratulations, you did it, job well done. It happened. And imagine that, and stay in that, and feel that. Feel it real. Ernest Holmes talked about the fire in the belly when he talked about in the context of spiritual mind treatment. That's the already, knowing that it's already done. That's already done. Now, it's important to remember, we talk about these things, and I share these things, and some of you look at me kind of like, but it's important to remember that there are people who every day use these techniques and see them manifest things in their lives. I mean, I know I've talked about athletics before, but it was years ago when you had athletes who were struggling to meet certain goals and those kinds of things, and then they started to hear people who were in the New Thought movement and everything teaching about the fact if you spend time imagining this, and if you spend time seeing it happen, if you spend time feeling it real. And some of the world-class athletes out there now, whether they talk about it or not, They have learned how to spend time seeing themselves being successful at what it is that they set out to do. They see themselves making the goal. They see themselves making the jump. They see themselves winning the race. They see themselves hitting the ball. They see it and they feel it to the point where it becomes real for them. So when they step on the stage or on the arena or on the field or anything else, it already happened. Because you see, we live in that kind of universe that is responsive to our intention and our attention and our energy, and results happen. And so when we start talking about being possibilitarians, we are simply saying that it's possible, that it can happen, that I'm going to apply this in my life. I am going to use this in my life in such a way that it's going to happen. So whatever it is that I wish to have manifest, the way I wish to live, it happens in that way. We have the key. We have the opportunity. We have the knowledge. We have the information. We have the tools. We have everything that we need right here and right now. You and I have it. You and I. It's available to us. Remember the master teacher said, it's the Father's good will to give us the kingdom. Give us the kingdom. And what happens is we go off and we forget about that. We forget about who we are. And we struggle because we've forgotten the truth of who we are. We've forgotten that, and we make life a lot harder than it has to be. Because we've forgotten who we are. That's why I like the story of the prodigal son. It's really the story of the loving father that the master teacher taught, but everybody recognizes it's the story of the prodigal son that went off and he thought that he could do this or that, and he did okay for a while, but then he ran into problems and he lost everything that he had, and he felt like that he had just lost his inheritance and lost his place in the family of God. And Jesus was telling this story, and then so he returns back. It says that when he came to himself, when he remembered who he was, that he was a part of the household. And so then he returned back home. And he thought he was going to have to, kind of bow and scrape and make it by, but he was welcomed with open arms. And all that was available to him before and more was available to him at that moment, because principle is not bound by precedent. So no matter where you might have slipped up in your life, no matter what might have been your past, no matter what might even be going on right now, each day, each moment is a new opportunity that is full of possibility, that is full of potential, that is full of promise, that is full of all things. And all I'm saying to you this morning, open heart, all I'm saying to everyone else that sees this message or hears this message, all I'm saying is available to you now. Will you take it? Because see, I'm done. But there's in your bulletin a place where you record the message, and somebody called my attention, I think Julie called my attention to it last week, that there's a part there that says, what are you going to do about it? All right. So my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? It's there. It's available. It's open to you. It's open to me. It's open to us. What are we going to do about it? So it is.